my own work, but I do it in very, very weird parts of pieces. You guys really don't have to do this. I just kind of want to put this in your head so it's food for thought. I'm going to show you kind of the old school way to do this, and then later on in class, I'll show you guys how I utilize it in my own work. The concept here is instead of having a piece that has one wall, we're actually going to build two. So I'm going to show you this. Ooh, this is, if you guys want to throw on this wheel, feel free to. It's actually really nice. So there are multiple ways to double wall, and I will actually show you guys one of my pieces in a photo after this. We're gonna do the classic to where we're just gonna have two walls and then join them together. The concept here means that I have to have something that is a little wider, and I want to start flat on the top. Am I being too loud, sir?
No, you're good.
So from here now, I want to make my initial hole, which is going to be in the center, just like normal. But because this is going to be double walled, I actually want to leave some clay, and I'm going to make another wall on the outside of the piece. This is also really cool if you guys want to make donuts. The goal here is to make your floors about the same height of the piece. Nobody's looking at me like I'm crazy yet, so this is good.
When you split it, do you split it right in the middle, or do you have a rule of thumb?
You know, I try to actually, depending on what I'm making, I try to leave one of them actually a little bit thicker. So in this case, I left the center a little bit thicker than this outside wall. And that's because I'm going to double wall the bottom of a vase and then just have a normal vase at the top. What this is going to allow is I'm going to be able to carve all the way through this bottom, and then the inside will actually still hold liquid, which is really cool. So it adds like a whole three-dimensional kind of design element to this. This is the hard part about any sort of double walling. I now have to lift inside of here. So this is where it's kind of fun because you're literally going to have to use your fingertips to lift.
The thing I will say about shoulders is that it's another thing on your plate, right? So if you're only coming for the glass eye, it's probably not gonna be a good idea because it's gonna be a lot to chew on. But if you
So
go for your
lifting.
time, absolutely, you can do some shoulders.
This is kind of making sense a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The classic double walled piece is normally a donut. And that would be where you're just making a very wide base and into a donut shape. And now from here, I want to pull up the outside wall.
Alright, I know you guys still working on those coils, but I'm just gonna show you the next step. So the next step is to grab the first coil, and I'm gonna go in and make a circle.
And it's really important to get the water out before you do this. I'm not, just because I'm giving you guys a demo.
Of your net. So you don't wanna make this too wide. If you make it a little wider, you're gonna end up with that.
And now from here, I can slowly start to collar and close. And you guys can really do this in any sort of shape that you want. I'm doing this as simple as possible just so I'm not confusing you guys. And then I like to lift the two together where they close.
So the whole purpose of this is so you can carve the outside one.
Yes, and also in my own work, I do some really, really weird shapes. It's actually like a whole new series that I'm doing to where I have bowls that literally look like they're 8 inches thick. So there's an outside wall of the bowl, and then there's a big flat part, and then there's a whole inside of the bowl as well. And it's really interesting because normally when you see a piece, it looks just one wall. But you can actually like make stuff that looks like it's like 3 feet thick by doing this. So it's completely hollow on the inside, but the form actually makes it look like it's really thick. This is just a good place to start, just to kind of learn like how to join things together with air inside of them. It starts getting really interesting.
So do you have to puncture it at some point because it won't explode in the kiln?
Yes, and when you guys trim, it's really confusing because when you look at the inside, you're going to be like, this thing is 19 inches thick. But just remember there's air in here. So I kind of like to get kind of a rough shape, and then when I trim, I will remove this, and I'll kind of trim this one a little bit.
The body that's rough, it tends to be a little bit sturdier.
But there's other ways of double walling that are even more interesting than this. But just the concept is what I kind of wanted to show you guys. Let's trim a little bit of this off. Also, don't use the clay that I was using. This was from the kids' class, and it's full of all kinds of shit. As I was throwing, I was like hitting twist ties, rubber bands. And we'll flare the top a little more just to give it a classic look. And these things are always going to be a little bit funky, but this is the cool part. So now I can actually come through and I can carve whatever I want out of here. And you want to do this at the leather hard stage. So from the outside, completely see-through, this will actually still hold liquid, water, whatever you want. If you go online, you're going to see people that make teapots like this. Don't ask me how they do it. It has to be so complex. But there's some really cool coffee mugs that are actually double walled. There's a lot of functional things that people do where they double wall.
Does it hold the temperature better when you double wall?
According to them, yes, but I don't know if that's just their main selling point. But yeah, so it allows you to do like all of this different kind of carving stuff in here. And literally have all of these intricate pass-throughs without affecting the form on the inside. And if you're really getting like OCD, you could even scoot the inside form closer to match the outside form. So it's not as deep of a groove. But it's kind of cool.
It makes sense for a mug because then your hands aren't gonna get hot when you're holding a hot cup of whatever.
It's just an interesting thing to play around with.